Whether they teamed up after their prime, had a season that went forgotten, or even were teammates before the NBA, there are a lot of duos you might not remember or even don't know. So that's what we're talking about in today's video. So if you guys like my content, make sure you like and subscribe. If there's at least one set of teammates you don't know in this video, hit the like button. Let's try to get 7,000 likes on today's video, and let's hop right into it. Okay guys, we're going to start it off with some top NBA talent that teamed up in college, such as Kevin Love and Russell Westbrook. Westbrook went to UCLA as an unranked prospect in 2006. He averaged 3.4 points in his freshman season, but in his sophomore year, he was joined by top recruit Kevin Love. Love would dominate, getting 18 points and 11 rebounds, and Westbrook upped his production to 13 points and 4 assists. They led UCLA to the Final Four before falling to a Derrick Rose-led Memphis team. Westbrook would go with the 4th pick, and Love would go with the 5th pick in the 2008 draft, and we all know what would happen after that. Westbrook is a former MVP and 8-time All-Star, and Love is an NBA champion and 5-time All-Star. But when looking at college teams loaded with future NBA talent, one school jumps off the paper, and that's Kentucky. In 2009, John Calipari managed to bring in 3 top freshmen, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and Eric Bledsoe. They finished with the best record in college basketball, but would fall short in the Elite 8 against West Virginia. In the 2010 draft, Wall would go number 1, Cousins at 5, and Bledsoe at 18. They've all had solid careers, with Cousins and Wall becoming All-Stars. In 2012, Kentucky would load back up, getting top recruits Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who would become the first college teammates to go first and second in the NBA draft. In 2016, Kentucky would again have one of the most loaded teams in terms of future NBA talent. The team had 9 players that would touch the NBA hardwood. The Harrison twins, Aaron and Andrew Harrison, Alex Poythress, Dakari Johnson, Tyler Ulis, the 6th overall pick Willie Cauley-Stein, the 12th overall pick Trey Lyles, the 13th pick Devin Booker, and the number 1 overall selection Karl Anthony Towns. It's pretty crazy the recruiting classes Kentucky's managed to pull off in this recent one-and-done era, but Duke has definitely been giving them a run for their money as of late. Next, we have some players that were teammates in AAU. A guy that we've been talking about a lot recently, Michael Porter Jr., was actually teammates with rookie sensation Trey Young. This was one of the most exciting AAU duos we had ever seen, as Michael Porter was the number 1 ranked player in the country, praised as the next Kevin Durant, and Trey Young was leading the country in scoring as the number 1 ranked player in Oklahoma. They would have teamed back up in college, but Porter had the opportunity to be coached under his dad at Missouri. Now, he ended up missing practically his whole entire freshman season due to injury, while Young put up some insane numbers at Oklahoma on his way to becoming a top 5 pick. Trey solidified himself as a future star, while Porter still has a lot to prove, but all signs point to a surprising rookie season. Next, we have an interesting one as the number 1 overall pick in the 2019 draft, Zion Williamson, was actually teammates at different levels with the 2nd and 3rd pick, Ja Morant and RJ Barrett. It's pretty crazy looking back. The 2 unknown young prospects that were teammates at a small AAU program in South Carolina would go on to become the 1st and 2nd overall pick in the draft. As just a rising freshman and sophomore, Zion Williamson and Ja Morant teamed up on the South Carolina Hornets. Ja Morant never got the recruiting attention Zion did, as he was unranked going into his freshman season at Murray State, but by the end of his sophomore year, he had solidified himself as the top point guard prospect. Zion clearly had a much different route, as he was a top 3 prospect by the end of his senior season, and would actually team up with the other top 3 prospects in Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett at Duke. As you guys probably know, RJ Barrett would become the 3rd overall pick to the New York Knicks, but there was actually a lot of possibilities throughout the draft process that would have brought both RJ and Zion to New Orleans, which would have created one of the most unique scenarios we had ever seen in the league. But regardless, it's insane that the number 1 overall pick has this much connection to the guys going 2 and 3. Next, we have 2 of the top young players in the league who just got max contracts this offseason in Ben Simmons and DeAngelo Russell. The 2 joined forces for 2 seasons at Montverde Academy. Simmons arrived midway through his sophomore season, joining junior DeAngelo Russell, who had played with Ben Simmons' future teammate in Joel Embiid the year prior. The duo would win 2 national championships before going their separate ways. DeAngelo Russell went on to Ohio State, and Ben Simmons a year later to LSU. DeAngelo Russell would become the 2nd overall pick in 2015, and Ben Simmons would go number 1 overall in 2016. What's crazy to imagine is if Ben Simmons went a pick later, or the Lakers went up 1 pick, the high school duo would have teamed back up. Another scenario, maybe even crazier, is if DeAngelo Russell fell 1 spot to the 76ers, he would have become teammates with both his former Montverde teammates in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Next, we have Vince Carter, who's had some teammates you may have forgotten throughout his career. When looking at players with the best all-teammate teams, Carter's to be right up there with the best of them. 2 guys you probably remember him playing with would be his cousin Tracy McGrady on the Toronto Raptors, and playing alongside Dirk Nowitzki for a 3-year stretch between 2011 and 2014. But a teammate you probably don't remember would be former MVP, 2-time champion, and all-time blocks leader Hakeem Olajuwon. After refusing a $13 million contract from the Rockets, he was traded to the Toronto Raptors ahead of the 2002 season, where he would play his final year averaging a career-low 7 points and 6 rebounds, and the Raptors would be eliminated in the first round. The last member of his all-teammate team is someone you probably never guess, and that's none other than Kobe Bean Bryant. As part of one, if not the greatest AAU teams ever assembled, Carter teamed up with Kobe and Rip Hamilton in Paterson, New Jersey. The team would win 2 AAU national championships, and rumor has it Kobe ran the show at the point with Carter and Hamilton on the wings. Based on the footage we have seen from both Kobe and Carter in high school, this has to be one of the most exciting teams ever assembled. It's pretty crazy looking back at all the teammates Vince Carter has had over the years, but another guy that's had some legendary teammates is Shaquille O'Neal. You probably remember a lot of Shaq's great teammates, but let's refresh your memory in case you forgot some. He began his career in Orlando, where he got to play alongside Penny Hardaway, then went on to the Los Angeles Lakers, where he formed one of the greatest duos alongside Kobe Bryant, but also had the chance to play with Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton. He was then traded to the Miami Heat, where he had another partner in crime in Dwayne Wade, but also played with Alonzo Mourning and Gary Payton again. Then went on to the Suns, where he played with Steve Nash and Grant Hill, then on to the Cleveland Cavaliers, where he played with a young player dominating the NBA in LeBron James, and then lastly on the Celtics, where he played with Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce. It really doesn't mean much, but we did it with Vince, we might as well do it with Shaq, and that's an all-teammate team, which will look something like Steve Nash at the point guard spot, Kobe Bryant at the 2, LeBron James at the 3, Karl Malone at the 4, and Shaquille O'Neal down low. Pretty insane. Next, we have Tracy McGrady and Tim Duncan, who teamed up for a brief stint in 2013 on the San Antonio Spurs. Tracy McGrady is one of the most lethal scorers we have ever seen. He was drafted to Toronto straight out of high school, where he played with his cousin Vince Carter, then went on to Orlando, where he had his best years, including 2003, where he averaged 32 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds. He then went on to Houston, where success would continue, but would have a sharp fall off into his 30s due to injuries, as he would have disappointing stints in New York, Detroit, and Atlanta. After the 2011 season, he would go to China, where he would absolutely dominate. He averaged 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. And ahead of the 2013 NBA playoffs, McGrady would join the second-seeded San Antonio Spurs, led by Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan. While McGrady was clearly far from his prime, it was still really cool to see these NBA legends team up together. Tim Duncan is one of the greatest to ever do it, as he was a 2-time MVP, 5-time champion, with 3 Finals MVPs, and a 15-time All-Star. We didn't get to see much from McGrady, as he played in just 31 minutes a game throughout the playoffs, took only 7 shots, and scored a big whopping 0 points, but the Spurs would have a dominating run to the finals and were 1 shot away from an NBA title that would have given McGrady his first and only championship.
Rebound Bosh, back out to Allen, his 3-pointer, bang! Tie game!
Another duo of NBA legends that should be a surprise to most is Larry Bird and Pistol Pete Maravich. Maravich is the all-time points leader in NCAA history, as he averaged 44 points at Louisiana State, but also had an amazing NBA career in the 70s, becoming a 7-time All-Star. Larry Bird is a 3-time MVP, 3-time champion, and 12-time All-Star. It's pretty crazy these two got to touch the court together, considering Larry Bird was drafted in 1978, but didn't play till 1979, and Maravich retired in 1980, but in Maravich's last season, he was waived by the Utah Jazz, and he signed with the Boston Celtics, where he teamed up with rookie sensation Larry Bird. Maravich didn't have a big role, but was a contributor off the bench, and helped the Celtics go to the Eastern Conference Finals before getting outmatched by the Philadelphia 76ers. Next, we have Scottie Pippen teaming up with Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon. When thinking about Scottie Pippen's career, a lot of people remember his 6 titles in Chicago, or the end of his career in Portland, but a season that commonly goes forgotten is the 1998 season on the Houston Rockets. He joined 11-time All-Star Charles Barkley and Rockets legend Olajuwon. All 3 were out of their prime, but still respectable players in this league. They got off to a slow start with a 12-18 record at the new year, but ended up finishing as the 8th seed with a 500 record and faced the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round, where they would fall in 4 games. The trio would only last 1 season, as Scottie Pippen requested a trade, to which Barkley commented on saying, "For him to want to leave after 1 year, I was just disappointed in him." Scottie Pippen responded to this saying, "I wouldn't give Barkley an apology at gunpoint. He can never expect an apology from me. If anything, he owes me an apology for coming to play with his fat blank." The team looked great on paper, but it clearly was a disaster. Lastly, we have the most interesting one to me, and that's Kevin Love and Klay Thompson, as they were former teammates, not in college, not in high school, not in AAU, not even basketball. They actually grew up together in Lake Oswego, Oregon, where they played on the same Little League baseball team. That's pretty insane looking back, but that's the end video, guys. You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below. There were a lot of guys I could have put on this video. I could have talked about George Gervin and Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing and Gary Payton, but these were the ones I just felt like talking about. You let me know what you think. And the shoutouts are gonna be Samson Mines, Big Scary, Wimpy Kid, Charlie Boom, and Ramon Dunlop. If you guys want to shout out on the next video, all you gotta do is like the video and comment liked or rep notification gang, and I'll shout 5 of you guys out. With all that being said, hope you guys have a great day, and peace.